Yohanan Raatz made a video responding to my video about the morality of abortion. His position is that abortion is wrong and that it is right and appropriate to punish someone for getting an abortion.
Killing a child in abortion would be just as much murder as throwing the stowaway out of the plane. The fact that personal autonomy is used as an excuse would not negate this fact in either scenario. So to argue from one's bodily autonomy that abortion is all right is as ludicrous as arguing from one's autonomy over one's property that throwing people out of one's private aircraft is all right.
Because forcing someone to keep a stowaway on a plane until it lands is totally the same as forcing someone to give birth against their will.
Now, when I raised these points in the comments, the Messianic Manic responded that forcing people to give birth is cruel and unusual punishment. Since when is forcing people to be responsible parents cruel and unusual punishment?
Whenever it involves forcing something through someone's vagina against their will. But let's assume that all of Ratz's arguments are sound. Let's assume that abortion is wrong and punishing someone who's had an abortion is right. If that's the case, then I am incapable of assenting to what is morally right in regard to abortion. My conscience won't allow it. I think John Rawls provides the best way of explaining why I have the moral sensibilities I do. He asks you to imagine that before you were born into the world, you get to create the moral system by which that world operates. However, you don't get to decide the particular circumstances of your birth. You don't know what race you'll be, what sex you'll be, or what religion you will end up believing. Maybe you'll inherit $1 billion, maybe you'll inherit a predisposition to colorectal cancer. What kind of moral system would you want that world to follow? If I were to grant this world a moral system in which abortion is permitted, I wouldn't have to worry about ever being forced to give birth against my will if I made the mistake of getting pregnant when I didn't want to be. However, I might end up being a fetus who gets aborted. On the other hand, if I created a world in which abortion is not permitted, I don't have to worry about ending up as a fetus who gets aborted. However, I will have created a world in which people are forced to give birth against their will, and are punished if they terminate a pregnancy. I might even end up as one of those people. Given those choices, I would far rather create a world in which nobody is forced to give birth against their will, even if it means I might end up getting aborted myself. Creating a world where people are forced to give birth is unconscionable to me, even in cases when the pregnancy was the result of irresponsibility or carelessness. Taking the risk of ending up as an aborted fetus myself is far more preferable to me. I am not psychologically capable of assenting to forcing someone to give birth or to punishing someone for an abortion. If it is the case that allowing abortion is objectively morally wrong, then it's not only the case that I don't want to be right, I don't think I'm even capable of it. Since that's the case, I consider most debates about whether abortion is right or wrong to be moot. I don't argue for my position on abortion, I simply explain it. I'm sure that if Raatz were to conduct this same thought experiment, he would prefer a world in which abortion is not permitted. Thus we are at an impasse. The kind of moral system Raatz advocates is not one with which I could cooperate. He has explicitly advocated the use of cruel punishments and authoritarianism. Such a moral view is not one I will ever be able to understand.